This month, Netanyahu's ceasefire conditions have changed dramatically.
Oh my God. Again? That's crazy. How shocking. Color me surprised. So cute, my little Hasanito.
We're expecting a formal Israeli response within days, possibly, to this proposal, which Egypt actually had a key role in brokering. And that's important because they're a big player in this region, and also because the previous round of talks broke down with no outcome. But the Qataris, as you said, who are also involved in these talks, pretty optimistic because, as you made that point, that it's a similar deal to the one that Israel previously agreed to that was put together by the US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. Conflicting signals, though, here in Israel tonight about it all. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office.
I talked to people in Gaza, and they're not very confident about this. Like, they don't think that this is going to hold. They think that it's going to be just for a couple days and that Israel's going to continue bombing. They've just completely given up on a permanent ceasefire ever taking place, which is, of course, understandable. It's such a devastating situation. Kind of interesting, however, having this ceasefire conversation right after the Russian-Ukrainian one, where Trump is basically conceding on all the demands, and yet the media understandably is talking about the Ukrainian position, talking about the Ukrainian victims of all of this. Meanwhile, the belligerent is like starving the Palestinian population to death, bombing them into oblivion, and has dropped the metric ton equivalent of 8 nukes on this tiny sliver of land where 2 million people are held captive. It's just not like this change in the commentary, where the media so quickly turns around and after spending a good deal of time talking about the victimhood of Ukrainians, as they should, to only turn around and act as though, and the cynical, sinister ways in which the belligerent here, Russia, operates, only to turn around and act as though the belligerent occupier in this conflict, which is a genocide, it's even worse than a war with a litany of war crimes, is totally a valid state actor that has like real security concerns.
Anonymously, we think that these 50 of the hostages must be released all at once. They're not particularly interested in a partial deal, but at the same time, you've had Israeli officials saying that they're still studying these proposals and there's still discussions going on about them. Any reprieve, though, cannot come soon enough for the people of Gaza. Several more people reportedly killed trying to get food aid tonight. And today, the UN said that the risk of starvation there may be a direct result of the Israeli government policy of blocking humanitarian aid, which Israel, of course, denies. This is how these families survived in central Gaza today. It is no way to sustain a starving population.
Yeah, according to local sources, I saw that. According to local sources in Gaza, Israel has assassinated a Palestinian national basketball team player and one of the top stars of local clubs, Mohammed Shaalan, nicknamed the Earthquake, after he was sniped while waiting to receive aid for the American-run GHF in Han Yunis to feed his children, one of which is literally suffering in a hospital bed. I think like they killed his daughter as well. This is what you mean whenever you talk about Islamophobia. Breaking: New York City Mayor Eric Adams just slammed Muslim communist Mamdani for vowing to decriminalize prostitution. I don't know where it is in the Quran it states that it's okay for a woman to be on the streets selling her body. God bless Eric Adams. Oh, it's just like you made up what your opponent's positions are, and now you are saying like he's not abiding by Sharia. Like, what the fuck? When did Zohran Mamdani say he was going to do Sharia in fucking New York? I hate this shit so much. It's just, yeah, instead of being like, well, I guess my opponent is not actually a fundamentalist who wants to abide by the text of the Quran. Nope, not that at all. It's that he's actually being hypocritical to values that I ascribed to him.
And for a fleeting moment, hope that another way might be possible, should Israel join Hamas in agreeing a pause in the fighting to get aid in and some of the remaining hostages out. In Khan Yunis, 8 people were killed overnight. The number of dead now passing 62,000, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Awad says he's been bereaved and displaced.
It's so crazy that they're saying that the death toll has gone up to 62,000 when it's been locked at 60,000 for the past, 4 months? And I can count more than 2,000 deaths that we have directly talked about every single fucking day. Like there has been more than 2,000 deaths in the past 4 months that we have covered on this broadcast. Okay, the idea that it's just it's up to 62,000 is so unbelievable.
God willing, he says, Israel...
Is that number not coming from the authorities in Gaza? Yes, it is the most conservative estimate. The Gaza Health Ministry is only capable of logging a death and confirming a death if it's a person that was shot and directly killed by Israeli bombs. Like when they say this is a death, this is 62,000, that means that person was shot by the Israeli forces or bombed by the Israeli forces, and then they were able to recover that body and try to treat that body in a hospital, and obviously the patient still died. That is calculated in the 62,000 number. There are so many people who are just unaccounted for. There are so many people who have died due to health complications as a consequence of Israel's blockade. There are so many people who have died directly as a consequence of Israel's destruction of the health system in Gaza in its entirety. Okay? The true number is far, far larger than 62,000 at this point. There are mass graves that keep getting unearthed. There is no way to figure out what the real number is. Part of the reason why is because Israel will not let any independent investigators into the Strip. Israel has also destroyed deliberately all of the hospitals. So if there's no hospital, you can't actually count. Israel shoots ambulance drivers. Israel shoots the aid workers. Israel kills the doctors. Israel kidnaps the doctors and tortures them in their prisons. The health ministry in Gaza does not have the capabilities of correctly issuing an accurate death toll. I'm not a warmonger. I'm a realist. You think you can negotiate with a man that has no intention of negotiating and that definitely has leverage over the U.S. president? That's just placating to a wannabe emperor who's built a legacy and nothing else. You can negotiate with something like that? What? Oh, you're still talking about Russia. Okay. He's like Moldova and Georgia will be next.
Will give a positive response, and it will be today. Omar says even a ceasefire won't end the war because Israel has other goals, the complete destruction of Gaza. These Israeli tanks are preparing to take control of Gaza City. An offensive Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is pursuing despite growing international and domestic condemnation. So, could it be halted by a ceasefire plan that is, after all, on terms he very recently appeared to support? The proposed deal accepted by Hamas would reportedly see the release of 10 of the 20 remaining living hostages, the return of more Palestinian prisoners by Israel, a 60-day ceasefire, and talks for a full end to the conflict. Now, this is all remarkably close to what Benjamin Netanyahu himself put forward just last month.
We have a 60-day ceasefire, get the first batch out, and then use the 60 days to try to negotiate an end to this.
But this month, Netanyahu's ceasefire conditions have changed dramatically.
Oh my God, again? That's crazy. How shocking. Color me surprised. Yeah, meanwhile, here's the reality, of course. Reports of insanely intense Israeli bombings of the Sabra neighborhood in Gaza City. That was 22 hours ago. A large number of casualties reported, but no way anyone can get there to evacuate them. Just as Hamas accepts another ceasefire proposal, Israel escalates its Gaza extermination campaign. This is happening side by side. On the one hand, they're like, oh, here's a ceasefire proposal. Hamas is like, sure, we'll join it. We'll do it. Israel then increases the intensity of the bombing campaign once again, because they have no real interest in a ceasefire. Their goal is the complete extermination of all Palestinian people from the Gaza Strip. It's not like they're hiding it. They've shown that with their actions. They've shown that with their statements since October 7, 2023. I can't believe we're about to hit 2 years of this genocide, this live streamed Holocaust. And every step of the way, Israel has openly stated their ambitions, their genocidal ambitions. Israel is trying to kill every single Palestinian person that they can get away with killing. And it seems like their numbers are in the hundreds of thousands. And the world stays silent. And worse than silence, the Western world continues to offer Israel intelligence and offer Israel the weapons to do so. America being the number one belligerent here.
Instead of a partial release of the remaining hostages, he's been insisting on the full release of all the remaining hostages all at once.
Regarding our terms, the release of all the hostages, both alive and dead, definitely. We're at that stage, and we're not going back.
Crucially, that position appears not just to have Donald Trump's endorsement, but appeases the far-right parties propping up Netanyahu's coalition government. Hard-right Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir says the Prime Minister has no mandate for a partial deal. But on Netanyahu's other flank, one of the biggest protests since October 7th took place on Sunday, opposing plans for more Israeli force in Gaza and demanding the hostages were immediately brought home.
I want to say to my guy, my son, how deeply I'm sorry.
Michelle's son Guy died in Hamas captivity, and his body is still being held there. It looks like there is a deal on the table now that Benjamin Netanyahu could accept today if he wanted to, albeit it's a partial hostage release. Should he accept that deal?
He must. He must to accept it. I want to see the last hostages back home.
You had hundreds of thousands of people on the streets here over the weekend. How many more people do you think have to take to the streets to get the Prime Minister to change his position?
At least 1 million people to shout our shouting, to say enough is enough for us, you know, enough is enough for us. And I want to be able to pray and to bury my son. This is the only thing, the last thing that I ask. Enough is enough for me. I don't want to be suffered anymore.
Protests planned for this Sunday in Tel Aviv had just been cancelled, though, while Benjamin Netanyahu ponders his response to the ceasefire plan.
Hello, you said that all the remaining hostages are IDF soldiers. I couldn't find any sources of that. Not saying you're lying. They are. All of the hostage releases that have taken place so far, up until the last batch, I would say, like the last couple of hostage releases were all non-combatants, and the rest of them are just like they already released all of the civilians that they had held captive, and now the rest are all IDF soldiers.
Well, back to Gaza now, and a ceasefire between Israel and...
Wait, what the f was that? That title change was crazy. Health officials, 3 more starved to death in Gaza. They went from Egypt. Israel refuses Egypt of something. I forget what the title was originally. To that, they changed it.
Hamas would allow for a huge surge in critically needed humanitarian aid. Right now, much of the aid that arrives at the Gaza border, should it get there, is refused entry by Israel. The executive director of the Egyptian
Wow, it's interesting that the article title originally, like the headline of the video originally, was actually actively saying Israel was responsible for denying aid into the Strip. And I guess they got a boss call and they changed it to health officials, 3 more starved to death in Gaza.
Crescent, Amal Emam, showed me a warehouse full of medical.
Yeah, the original title was Egyptian Red Crescent shows CNN aid rejected by Israel. I wonder why they changed that article title. I wonder why they changed the title of that YouTube video. Oh, perhaps the tone it was taking was too critical of the genocidal apartheid state. Oh, well. This kind of stuff might come across as like little changes and ultimately marginal, inconsequential. It's not. Okay? It's not. This plays a very important role in manufacturing consent because headlines are the things that people pay attention to the most. Okay? It's very important. The reason why they change those headlines is because they do not want to criticize Israel at all. They do not want to use active voice when talking about Israel's war crimes. That CNN headline was a direct accusation of Israel committing a war crime, denial of aid to a captive civilian population. Make no mistake. That's why the term genocide is important as well, especially by politicians. When they don't want to use that, term, they say they don't want to get bogged down by legality or whatever, but they don't want to use that term because genocide opens up additional restrictions for any kind of partnership or cooperation with the supposed ally. That's the reason why they don't want to fucking say it.
Supplies that Israel has turned back, she says. It includes medicines.
But of course, remember, as they were worried of saying ceasefire initially, now they say it all the time. As they were worried to say Israel's doing war crimes initially, and now they say it all the time. Eventually, with more pressure, they will start saying it's a genocide as well. It's inevitable because, as I've said over and over again, especially if you don't let people fucking forget this, okay? If you don't let people forget these crimes, if you don't let people forget that this is ongoing, today will be the most popularity that Israel enjoys. Tomorrow, Israel will be even more unpopular. What is this? What the fuck are you talking about? Do you think we don't know Putin can be trusted? Oh my God, these guys are still arguing over Ukraine. Okay.
Oxygen tanks that she says have been received and have had the necessary approval from Israel, only to be turned back after inspection by the Israelis. This
Roach King said the U.S. should kill Maduro. Can you comment? What? Why does he give a shit about Maduro or Venezuela? God damn, these guys are so one note. They just like hear what the Trump administration wants them to pay attention to, and then they immediately go, ooh, yeah, he's got to do something about this. Trump's got to do something about this Maduro guy. We should kill Maduro. Okay, man. It's just you have a child's brain. That's it. You have the brain of a child. Not even a child. You have the brain of like an insect. You're just responding to stimuli. You're flying in the direction of a fly zapper. It's so stupid. Yeah. Oh, great Politico article headline. Americans are changing their views of Israel. That's a problem. Is it a problem, Politico? Is there a welcome shift towards a realistic public understanding of what Israel's doing? Yeah, of course. Politico and Business Insider is owned by Axel Springer, the German publishing house and owner of Politico, that makes all of the fucking people sign, all the people that work under it sign a loyalty oath to Israel. It's not even a joke. Business Insider, Politico US and EU, Die Welt, Germany's biggest tabloid, Bild. Bild is the one that's famous for being directly collaborating directly with Benjamin Netanyahu, right? They've gotten in trouble for that. Anytime you want to see a leak that Benjamin Netanyahu wants to fucking put out there, it's Bild, right? Am I thinking of the right one? Anyway, requires all employees to adhere to the corporate code of conduct, whose value number 2 is support the right of existence of the state of Israel. CEO Matthias Döpfner, who is also one of the company's largest shareholders, once wrote in internal memos, Zionismus über alles, Zionism above all, in Israel, my country, der Zeitlich. Döpfner also sits on the boards of Palantir, Netflix, and Warner Music. Palantir CEO Alex Karp previously served on Axel Springer's supervisory board. Look at this. We hold these principles today and embrace our social responsibility to democracy with clear intent and transparency. Axel Springer distinguishes itself in the media industry with our unique corporate constitution, the Essentials, written in 1967 by Axel Springer and slightly adapted over time. It is a living testament to our enduring values. We stand up for freedom, for free speech, the rule of law, and democracy. We support the right of existence for the state of Israel and oppose all arms of anti-Semitism. We advocate the alliance between the United States of America and Europe. We uphold the principles of a free market economy. We reject political and religious extremism and all forms of discrimination. Okay, what about number 2 then? That makes no damn sense. That's crazy that it's number 2, by the way. The order of priority is so fucking insane.
Is what we saw.
This truck has been rejected 4 times. This is the 4th time that has been rejected in the last 2 weeks. And what's carrying? It's carrying ICU beds coming from the WHO.
Wait, did they change the title again?
Well, back to Gaza now, and a ceasefire between...
No, they haven't. They didn't change it. It's not showing as changed for me.
So he said that since the 2nd of August, he has entered 4 times. Every time it goes in a very good shape, and then it comes this...
and that's how it comes back?
Exactly, you see. And then, of course,
Unpacked.
our teams here, they're working on repalletizing them, as you see.
Well, what you saw there, of course, were critically needed medical supplies, ICU beds. As I say, we also saw oxygen tanks and wheelchairs and anaesthetic equipment. There is, of course, an awful lot of food aid, which is loaded onto trucks to go into Gaza, which isn't getting in at this point. Look, the situation could not be more urgent. Another 3 people have starved to death in the enclave in the last 24 hours, according to local health officials there. For more now, I'm joined by the spokesperson for the United Nations Office of Humanitarian Affairs, Olga Cherevko, who is in Al-Mawasi in Gaza, supporting the operations there. Olga, you just saw, and our viewers just saw, these materials that are being held up on the Egyptian side of the border. How is this rejection of aid in this vetting process, as it were, by the Israelis impacting the situation on the ground where you are now?
Thank you, Becky, for having me. This is one of the many obstacles that the cargo has to go through before we can even get it inside of Gaza. And of course, in addition to that, once it is on the platform in Gaza, we face a massive line of various impediments in order to collect it from the platform. So as you were speaking to the colleague in at the crossing there and talking about the politicization and repoliticization and the scanning and the manifesting. And one of the biggest issues that we face before cargo arrives in Gaza is the fact that everything is kind of centralized through Kerem Shalom. So regardless of the corridor the cargo comes through, it has to be scanned at Kerem Shalom. And of course, there are only so many hours in the day that this can be done. So many times the trucks are turned away because it becomes too late in the day to even scan them. And so they have to basically start from zero the next day all over again.
Can you just explain what is going on the ground where you are and how people are coping?
The situation here is so dire. I have never seen it at the level that it's at now. Everybody has obviously been enduring nearly 2 years of this war. Virtually everyone in Gaza has been displaced, and many people several times. Some have actually lost count how many. And of course, if we look at the map of Gaza, over 86% of it is currently under displacement orders or in Israeli militarized areas. So the space where people can still survive and exist is very, very small. And it just keeps getting tighter by the day with more displacement orders, with, of course, the strikes ongoing and the looming possibility of the offensive in Gaza.
Well, how about not doing the bad German accent and realizing instead why German outlets would see themselves in a different responsibility towards Israel, even if it's misguided? Really beats me how you call people insect-brained while moving on the intellectual level of a 13-year-old yourself. I don't think we should ban this guy. I think we should unban this guy. Okay. First of all, I don't care. Okay? What do you mean? Germans broadly feel the responsibility of the Holocaust, so they have to fucking defend Israel doing its own version of the Holocaust is not a correct argument you can use here.
Gaza City has everybody extremely worried. And this is what people tell me everywhere, is that they really cannot fathom how much worse it can get if hundreds of thousands of people will have to potentially be forced.
It's so stupid. And secondly, not only does that argument hold zero fucking weight, this guy, who is German himself, is a media mogul that controls American outlets too. Why do you think you made a coherent point here? It's so stupid.
To displace yet again.
And Olga, you're talking about the decision by the Israeli Security Cabinet to widen the war, to ratchet up its operations, to expand its operations into Gaza City. This is what mediators that I have spoken to here in Cairo and in Qatar
HasanAbi is
tell
on
me.
Al Jazeera Live now, Pog? Wait, no way. Am I? Wait, hold on. Someone link it. Someone link it. Someone link it. Al Jazeera Live? No, you... Am I on Al Jazeera English?
Its military campaign,
I'm not.
on the ground,
You
Israeli
guys cooked
forces
me.
are still actively operating,
No, it's
demolishing
the
residential
podcast.
homes.
I did a podcast with Al Jazeera. I was on The Take. I am. It's not wrong. He was so excited. No. It's this video. It's this video that they're talking about. Twitch to Politics, Hasan Piker on Gaza and the U.S. right wing. The Take. It's on YouTube. It's on their YouTube. I'm on Al Jazeera English's channel. but not on. Wait, did this guy fuck off afterwards? I unbanned him. Your ego couldn't help it? Wait, what? Bait got him. Your ego couldn't help it. I mean, it's pretty awesome if they actually broadcast it on their main channel. What do you mean? Why wouldn't I be happy? What the fuck? Yeah, I watch Al Jazeera all the time. It's an important resource for accurate news and information. Of course, I'm going to be excited. I just did a podcast with them. I thought maybe they were broadcasting it on their main channel.
Is really worrying them. It's the reason that efforts are being ratcheted up to try and get a proposal agreed to by Hamas and Israel to get a temporary truce. I mean, even a temporary truce, of course, I know you would agree, if it were a truce of 60 days, would provide some relief in that it would allow for a surge of humanitarian aid in through the borders, and indeed, as you speak to, the plight of people on the ground and the catastrophe that continues to unfold there. Again, a period of relief, if nothing else, for people on the ground. What is your concern, and how concerned are people who speak to you about what seems to be the hardening position by Israel at this point? Its determination that Hamas is on the ropes totally and that it can defeat them, whilst we still await an official response to this this proposal that's on the table. There does seem some concern that Israel's hardened position will mean that it will just carry.
Totally new. This hardened position is totally new. It wasn't like the same from the get-go when the defense minister Yoav Gallant said we're fighting human animals and therefore we must deprive them of food, water, and electricity on October 8th, 2023. And then did exactly that. Totally new position that they arrived at. I guess it's totally new to you. If your job is reliant on you avoiding the truth about Israel's ambitions here.
Carry on with this war.
That's exactly my concern, because we have a population that is teetering on the brink of famine at this stage. And of course, as I've said, they are completely exhausted from these almost 2 years of war. And the prospect of another displacement, massive displacement, and the possibility of having to figure out how these people will survive here in this tiny area of the strip is unfathomable. I was in Nasser Hospital just a couple of days ago, and I've actually visited it several times over the past week. And every time I go there, there's more and more patients being accommodated because they're operating over capacity. The hospitals in the south are barely, they're hanging by a thread. And there are patients being hosted in every hallway, in the balcony, in the parking lot, and outside in the tents. And to think that there might be a possibility that hundreds of thousands more people will displace from the north, and of course the patients that are now in the north will have to somehow be accommodated in the south, in a healthcare system that is on the verge of collapse, is a very scary thought.
Olga, we appreciate your time. I know the work that you are doing is extremely tough. We thank you.
What is this? Oh, it's on the Al Jazeera main page. That's what the chatter was talking about. That's pretty cool. All right, let's continue.
Thank you very much indeed for at least freeing up a little bit of time to give us a sense of what's going on the ground. Thank you. Well, this past weekend, in cooperation with the World Health Organization, or the WHO, the UAE also successfully delivered trucks of medical aid into Gaza as the hospital systems we've been discussing crumbles under crippling Israeli restrictions on aid. And as thankful as Palestinians...
By the way, chatters who are mad that she's not calling it a genocide and instead calling it a war, I have to realize that when she is operating as an official envoy for any number of different humanitarian organizations that have to work with Israel to even get entry into the Gaza Strip, there are certain things that they just simply cannot say. They have to play ball. So I'm sure that they have to make that calculation. It's not even about being murdered, chatters. No. These people are very brave. It's not that they're worried that Israel's going to kill them. They're worried that Israel's not going to allow them entry into the Strip. Ironically, this entire conversation is about how Israel is not allowing them entry into the Strip. If you are talking about Palestinians who you might have access to, Palestinians that are currently living in Gaza that appear on broadcasts and stuff, they also have to choose their words very carefully when they're speaking. For them, it's the second thing. For them, they are worried that this will potentially stop Israel from letting them leave the Strip, or even worse, kill them or their family members. This is a real fear, especially considering the constant surveillance that the Israeli state has over the Gaza Strip while it is implementing its genocide.
Are for any amount of assistance at this point. One doctor gave a stark reminder of the dire scale of need inside Gaza.
This
supplies only a fraction of our needs and will cover us for only about a month, no more than that. We asked for consistent sending of aid in order to meet the needs of the people of Gaza.